Godo Kusanagi travels to Italy to return a stone tablet left by his grandfather. While asking for directions, he's confronted by Erika, who introduces herself as a knight. She threatens him to surrender the tablet to her, which she calls a grimoire. Suddenly, a giant boar god manifests in the center of town, forcing Erika to engage it, and instructs Godo to run away. Riding atop a car driven by her maid, Ariana, she heads over to stop the boar god's rampage, summoning her lion sword. Meanwhile, Godo runs into a small boy who recognizes his grimoire. When Godo explains his circumstances, the boy laughs and returns the grimoire back to him. As Erika is blown away by the boar god, Godo arrives just in time to save her, and the boar god is suddenly enveloped by a tornado and disappears. Later, Erika learns that Godo is to return the grimoire back to Zora, the famed witch of Sardinia. When they arrive at her estate, she recognizes it as the grimoire of Prometheus, with the power to steal the god's power for themselves. When she learns that Godo met a strange boy, she allows him to keep the grimoire, despite Erika's protests. That night, they drink heavily, and Godo returns Erika, in a drunken stupor, to her room. When they awaken the next morning, Erika slaps Godo for laying his hands on her while she sleeps, but they notice a sudden torrential rain outside. They see the giant sea god, Melkart, on his way to battle another god. Erika, worried about the damage it could cause to Sardinia, elects to halt their battle, and Godo volunteers to go with her. Once they arrive, Godo recognizes the other god as Vareth, an ancient Persian god of light. When they refuse to halt their fight, Godo bargains with Melkart for his protection in exchange for Godo's cooperation. Vareth attacks Godo, and he is protected by Melkart's barrier. Vareth then uses his golden sword, a blade with the ability to rob a god of their divinity, and he begins breaking through the barrier. In response, Godo unleashes the power of Prometheus, blasting Vareth and stealing his golden sword. When he asks Erika what he should do, she kisses him, and all at once, several thousand blades manifest on the battlefield. One sword fatally strikes Vareth, thus claiming for himself his godhood and the title of Campion, a god killer. A week later, Godo returns to Japan. He has a dream with the god Pandora, who tells him he has inherited Vareth's power and his 10 avatars. Godo finds himself the target of Erika's affection, which earns the ire of his sister, Shizuka. At school, Godo is further incensed to learn that Erika has transferred into his school. He hurriedly escapes, grabbing Erika by the wrist, but he inadvertently drags his classmate, Maria, instead. She brings him to meet Amakasu, a member of the Committee for the Compilation of True History, an organization that deals with the supernatural. He warns him about dealing with Erika, as she is known to seduce men for the sake of her organization. Meanwhile, Liliana is instructed by another Campion, Duke Vauban, to investigate Godo and the 7th Campion. Doubt swirls in Godo's mind, and he later accuses Erika of ill intent. Erika decides to bring him into Italy, where while waiting, he meets a small girl who wishes to take back one of his avatars, the snake. When he refuses to fight her, she leaves. Erika soon arrives, bringing with her representatives from the Magician's Society. She suddenly summons her lion armaments and engages Godo in battle, and he is forced to defend himself. He showcases the power of 2 of his avatars, the power of the bull and the swiftness of the bird of prey. The Magician's Society is impressed, and Erika explains that although powerful, Godo's avatars can only be used once a day each, and some have conditions that must be fulfilled, such as the flames of the white horse, usable only against humans, or the god-killing golden blade, requiring information about the god it is killing. Godo unleashes the unstoppable might of the boar, which tramples the Colosseum. The Magician's Society, impressed by his performance, decide he will hold their divine instrument in battle. Godo afterwards questions Erika behind her true intentions, and she replies that she won't just try to seduce anybody. She truly loves him. After the two exchange friendly banter, she shows him an iron medallion with an image of a snake. Maria is warned by Amakasa regarding Godo's affiliations with the Magician's Society, and that he likely brought back an artifact that threatens to destroy the world. She later confronts him on the rooftop, where to her shock, Godo bears the Gorgon, a medallion of Medusa. He apologizes as it was simply given to him by Erika, and she pleads with him to take the matter of his godhood more seriously. She takes him to the temple, where she explains that the Gorgon possesses the divine spirit of Medusa, and if claimed by a certain goddess, it will transform them into a being of immense power capable of wiping out the world. Erika emerges behind them, and Maria scolds her for her recklessness in bringing the medallion to Japan. She asks Maria to use her 6th sense to find the goddess seeking the Gorgon, and they learn that it's the goddess of war, Athena. While Maria is charged with sealing the medallion, Godo and Erika race to slow down Athena. They find her on a rooftop, and although Godo hesitates to fight, Athena shows him no such mercy. She overwhelms the two with her power, and she kisses Godo deeply to impart on him words of power, causing him to collapse. Athena breaks free and escapes with Godo. Meanwhile, Maria is halted by Liliana, demanding the Gorgon, but Amaterasu arrives just in time to rescue her. Later, Godo awakens. Realizing the danger that is to come, he beseeches Erica to give him the knowledge to fight Athena. She deeply kisses him to impart the knowledge of the Gorgon, as well as the legends of Zeus and Athena. However, they are forced to stop when Godo notices dark clouds on the horizon. Athena, seeking the snake, plunges the city into darkness. Godo is contacted by Maria, informing him that they have yet to make progress in sealing the Gorgon. He tells her to simply call out to his name, and he is sure to appear. However, Athena has arrived at her shrine, seeking the medallion. Liliana saves her just in time, but Athena recovers the Gorgon in the process. As she reclaims what's hers, she transforms into her original form. Maria calls out to Godo, who arrives with the Tempest. Athena is surprised to see Godo alive, but expects nothing less from the Demon King. Godo brings forth the golden sword, dispelling the wind of death plaguing Maria. He engages Athena in battle, with Erica kissing him again to impart on him all the knowledge regarding Athena. Godo summons a pocket dimension to battle, surrounded by a heavenly host of blades. Godo's deep knowledge of Athena begins troubling her, as it reveals her various weaknesses, making her vulnerable to Godo's god-killing blade. Athena is enraged at having her entire history read out to her, and when she is reminded she is nothing but a fallen queen, he breaks through her barrier. Erica arrives and gives him the god-piercing spear, which he uses to mortally wound Athena. As she reverts to her childlike form and prepares to die, Godo spares her, an act which leaves her indebted to him. Maria's sister, Hikari, teases her about her budding feelings for Godo, which she vehemently denies. Hikari prepares a lunchbox for Maria to give him. When she arrives at school, she is irked by Erica's public display of affection towards Godo. Later, while playing baseball, Maria and Godo become friendly with one another, with the former proud of her weak stamina. Maria notices that Erica is playing extremely well, and he reassures her that she isn't using any magic. Erica walks over to them and poses a challenge to Maria, which she accepts after her tradition of being a shrine maiden is insulted. Godo is made a catcher due to his history as one during middle school. He instructs Maria to swing on his mark, but her swing comes out too slow, and he is hit in the groin. Later, Maria apologizes for earlier and shares some of her lunch, which Erica remarks is her tactic to win over Godo. When they realize she does not have a phone, Erica convinces her to buy one to easily contact Godo. He takes her to a mobile phone store, where she shyly purchases the same phone as him so he can teach her. Godo teaches her how to use the phone in a park, and she graciously thanks him. That night, Godo receives a call from his old friend, Salvatore Doni, who is also a Campione. He warns him that Duke Vauban, another Campione, is in Japan. Godo tries calling Maria, but she cannot answer, as she is being kidnapped by Liliana and brought before Vauban, who claims Maria as his personal property. In a flashback, Maria and Liliana were once children under the ownership of Vauban. When Amakusa informs Godo of Maria's disappearance, he volunteers to search for her. Meanwhile, Maria is threatened by Vauban to submit to his will, lest he use his powers to make her subservient, even in death. She uses her sixth sense to learn that Vauban has slain Osiris, the Egyptian god of death, thus granting him the ability to raise corpses as mindless servants. Godo and Erica arrive at Vauban's hideout, where they slay several undead and a golem. They encounter Vauban in his study, who refuses to hand over Maria without just compensation. Erica goads him into aggression by suggesting that Salvatore implied that Godo was here to teach Vauban a lesson. He releases Maria to him and challenges him to a game. If he can evade him until daybreak, then he will admit defeat. They flee his hideout, but Maria suggests that she be left behind, but Godo finds leaving behind a friend unacceptable. Vauban's wolves soon track them down, and they find an open area for their showdown, instructing Ariana to leave. Vauban summons an absurd number of undead soldiers, and Godo summons the White Stallion in reply, burning the army to the ground. However, Vauban transforms into a werewolf, consuming the flames. Realizing it's impossible to win without more information, he signals Erica to retreat, and he summons the Bird of Prey to quickly escape with Maria. After slaying several more undead, Erica is confronted by Liliana, and the two appear evenly matched. Meanwhile, Maria tends to an injured Godo. Amakusa appears and warns them that Erica is in trouble. They find Erica and Liliana in a deadlock, and Maria pleads for the fighting to stop. Liliana refuses to betray her lord, but Erica begins reciting lines from the former's self-written novel, which embarrasses her into submission, and she agrees to betray the Duke. They return to face Vauban, and through Erica's kiss, Godo learns of Vauban's true nature. He brings him into the world as the God Killer. Godo removes his authority from Apollo, but Vauban still holds the power of Osiris, and he raises a fresh undead army. While Erica and Liliana fend off the hordes, Maria tells Godo to change his sword suit, that of Osiris, but he has insufficient knowledge of the god. Erica signals her to kiss him to transfer the information directly. Maria, although embarrassed, kisses him deeply. With this new knowledge of Osiris, Godo wipes out the remaining undead and removes his divinity. But the Duke still has one trick up his sleeve, the weather god trio of Feng Bo, Yu Shi, and Lei Gong. He strikes them with lightning, but he makes use of his priestly avatar of the goat. The goat begins absorbing the energy of those around him, and he smites Vauban with a second thunderstrike. To their shock, Vauban survives, but Liliana points out that it's daybreak. Vauban has lost. He reluctantly admits defeat and leaves. The group celebrates their victory, and Erica openly kisses Godo in front of everyone. Godo and the girls head to the beach in Italy for vacation, while Zora, Maria, and Ariana relax at a nearby hot spring. Erica kidnaps Godo out into the sea, but he manages to swim back to shore. There he receives a stern scolding from Maria for his recent indecency, but when her towel falls to the ground, she slaps him in embarrassment. That night, he sneaks out of the house for some peace and quiet, but he runs into Athena, who means no harm. He brings him into the city, remarking that a great battle is about to take place. Salvatore traverses the underground tunnels until he finds a pillar of Hera. Liliana confronts him, but before she can act, he shockingly slices the pillar into two, sending forth a pillar of light towards the heavens, summoning a dragon. Liliana tracks down the dragon where, to her shock, it is easily downed and injured by Perseus, the dragon slayer. Athena arrives with Godo, and she appeases the dragon. Perseus recognizes Godo as an enemy, and when Athena refuses to intervene, he attacks him. Liliana uses her magic and flees with Godo, where they plan their counterattack. However, when Liliana learns that the way to impart magic onto him is by kissing, she shrinks. Perseus soon finds them, and after Liliana's attack is easily parried, Godo learns that his enemy is far too dangerous to fight. He summons the boar, sending them hurtling forward, but Perseus soon catches up to them on the Pegasus. Perseus seals the power of the boar, and similarly, the power of his bird of prey. Unable to move, Godo is shot through the heart. Perseus moves to finish him off, but Athena appears to his aid and remarks that Godo will soon revive, stronger than before. This interests Perseus, who withdraws. After a brief conversation with Pandora, he awakens to see Liliana by his hospital bed, who was worried for him this whole time. Karen, a maid in the service of the Bronze Black Cross, appears and insinuates that Godo was here on the island with his female companions for debauchery. This embarrasses Liliana, who begins to strip down, assuming that this was his intention for her all along, but they later clear up the misunderstanding. With communications mysteriously down, they are forced to find a way to defeat Perseus themselves. Karen kicks Godo out of the room and suggests to Liliana that she use this opportunity to snatch him away from Erica. Godo finds a cheesy love novel written by Liliana, who threatens to kill him now that he's seen it, but they are interrupted by Athena. She offers to bestow upon them the knowledge they require, in exchange for something in return, but Liliana refuses on their behalf. The pair later work to try and figure out the authority that Perseus possesses, but Liliana is distracted by images of fanfiction in her head. She later makes up her mind. She paralyzes Godo with a potion and offers to make the deal with Athena herself. However, as Athena strips her down, Godo miraculously arrives, and as a bonus, Athena decides to reveal more information about Perseus. His authority comes from the same homeland as Vareth. Meanwhile, Salvatore restrains Godo's female companions, reasoning that all this is so Godo can become stronger. Suddenly, an arrow strikes near Godo. Perseus invites him to do battle once more. Perseus and Godo do battle inside a coliseum, under the eyes of the former's adoring crowd. Hours earlier, Karen once suggests to Liliana that she perform the kiss to perform the divination transfer of knowledge on Godo, but she refuses. Godo sneaks away to handle the fight on his own, but Liliana catches up to him. Suddenly, Perseus appears, having come for him directly. However, without the knowledge of Perseus, Godo's powers of Vareth are useless. When he is blown away, Liliana rushes to his aid. Seeing him struggle against his adversary, she comes to terms with divination, and she asks him to kiss her. They kiss deeply, granting him the knowledge he needs. He returns to the Colosseum, recognizing Perseus wields the power of Mithras, the lord over Vareth. He successfully severs the bond between the two, but Perseus remarks the battle is not yet over. He draws his sword and stabs Godo, but he grants himself the strength of the camel, and he kicks Perseus into a building. He returns, and using his own authority, brainwashes Liliana into attacking him. Godo breaks the spell by shouting out her name, and her arrows hit Perseus instead. Godo engages the hero once more, and Liliana pins him into a pillar. This allows Godo to summon the boar, crushing him underneath. He soon collapses from exhaustion, and when Liliana tries kissing him to heal him, Athena appears and beats her to the punch. Meanwhile, a heavily injured Perseus escapes, but he is devoured by a snake. Salvatore arrives a few seconds too late, but he remarks things are getting interesting. The next day, Erica and Maria angrily burst into Godo's hospital room and punish him for taking Liliana as a second mistress. While having lunch, Shizuka is upset that Godo once again returned with another mistress in the form of an overly affectionate Lilia. Later, Ina introduces herself to Godo, who says that she is to be his wife. She asks him how he feels about Maria and his female companions, and he bluntly says that they are his friends, an answer which visibly upsets Maria, but she hesitates to admit her feelings. Erica interrupts them and asks to speak with Enya in private, while the rest of the girls leave Godo behind. Meanwhile, Athena battles an unknown enemy, but she is visible in a pinch. Erica asks Godo out on a date, while she contacts both Liliana and Maria to inform them of it. The next day, Erica is upset that Godo has not planned their date at all, and when she teases him inside a lingerie store, he hastily comes up with a plan to visit various restaurants and food stalls. They enjoy their date, and later, visit the watering hole caused by their earlier battle with Athena, which Erica remarks is a precious memory. Ina soon appears, revealing that she and Erica have agreed to a duel. Ina brandishes her sword, the grass cutter. As the duel between the two knights swelled to its climax, Godo puts himself between them to stop the fight, but he is suddenly grabbed from below and dragged to some otherworldly dimension. Erica jumps in after him, and so does Ina. Meanwhile, Shizuka is upset that her brother has yet to come home, when Athena suddenly crashes through the roof, asking where Godo is. Godo is transported to the Netherworld, a realm between the living and the dead. Meanwhile, Shizuka questions Athena's relationship with her brother, which she assumes is romantic and perhaps more so. While Erica continues struggling against Ina, she explains that the very sword itself is feeding her power. Ina apologizes to Erica before allowing the grass cutter to take over her body, transforming her into a twisted, malevolent force. Ina attacks Erica, but Godo teleports in time to save her. He summons his golden sword. Realizing his divinity is being robbed, Grasscutter retreats for now. Godo attempts to teleport the mortally injured Erica home, but he is unable to do so. They end up on a beach, and with her dying breath, Erica requests a kiss from her beloved. Godo, refusing to accept such a reality, finally awakens the last avatar of Vareth, the youth. He commands Erica to swear fealty to him, and she accepts. Godo injects her with the power of his divinity, granting her the same heightened physical properties that Campions possess. They are suddenly attacked again by Grasscutter, now fully assimilated with Ina. With their newfound power, Erica staves off his attack, while Godo works to free the now naked Ina. After a brief scuffle, they are all caught in a mysterious portal. They find themselves at the temple with Liliana and Maria and Athena. To their horror, they see Grasscutter absorbed by Metis, the mother of Athena. Metis swallows Grasscutter, transforming it into a scythe. They ask Godo to retreat for now, as he has yet to discover the time limit allowing him to use his avatars. He reluctantly leaves with Amakusa and Athena, while the girls stay behind to fend off a truly monstrous force of nature. They head to Mount Fuji, where along the way, they learn that Athena has lost her memory as a god, likely consumed by Metis. Meanwhile, Erica manages to hold back Metis, in part due to Godo's divinity within her. Ina and Maria restrain Metis, allowing Erica and Liliana to perform a dual attack. However, she emerges unscathed. Metis finds Godo and Athena on Mount Fuji, which she reduces to rubble. Godo desperately tries to fend her off, but none of his avatars seem to work against her. Athena creates an opening by latching onto Metis' scythe, allowing Godo to summon the full might of the white stallion onto Metis. But to their horror, she is undamaged. She absorbs Athena into her with a kiss, and she assumes her true form. However, Erica and the others soon arrive, who transfer their knowledge and energy through kisses of divination, powering him up, trapping Metis inside his god-killer world. Using the combined power of the goat and the boar, Godo pummels Metis back into her childlike form, but she desperately hangs on. She sees Athena's limp body and flies towards it to regain her strength, but Godo manages to reach Athena in time with the Tempest. Athena kisses Godo, transforming his golden blade into a scythe, severing Metis in two. As she dies, Metis reminds her daughter that she is also a god of darkness. Athena also disappears, wishing that she can one day meet him again. The crisis is averted, and the light returns to the world thanks to their efforts. A month passes, and all the girls make themselves at home, much to the annoyance of Shizuka, who screams at her brother for his lecherous ways.